Why is it mineral right ownership seems like trying to win the lottery? Only a certain number of places in the United States has oil and gas in place in the mineral rights that exist. Okay, let's call that less than 15%. Less than 15% of all mineral rights in the United States will actually find commercial oil and gas underneath those mineral rights.
I'm Troy Eckard. I'm the chairman of the board of Eckard Enterprises located in North Texas. We like to drill wells, we like to make money, and we like to educate and attract high income, high net worth investors as we try to show you how you can be successful in the oil and gas industry in America.
Why is it mineral right ownership seems like trying to win the lottery? You know, I have a lot of relatives that own mineral rights down in the Eagle Ford Shale in South Texas. A couple of the uncles had mineral rights from old ranches they bought for $2,000 an acre for the entire surface and mineral rights. And they got fortunate. They turned out to be right in the area where some of the majors were deciding to lease mineral rights. And they drilled a bunch of Eagle Ford wells. Their net worth went from barely $1 million to now they're worth $25 or $45 million each because they drilled 5 or 10 beautiful Eagle Ford wells on their property. Two of the other brothers, including my father-in-law, well, they're not so lucky. They were right on the gassy window that's not quite so economically viable, and they haven't had a single well drilled on their property. They're still working hard every day, making a living, ranching and farming just like they did 20, 30, 40 years ago. So why is it so many millions of mineral owners across the United States will never experience a well drilled on their property or never share in the royalty income from wells that have been drilled successfully on mineral rights that they own? And I can tell you it's a pretty simple answer. One, it's geology. There's only a certain number of geological formations and places across the United States that were conducive for creating the trap for organic material that allows oil and gas to be present. So the first thing is, it's like a treasure box. Only a certain number of places in the United States has oil and gas in place in the mineral rights that exist. Okay, let's call that less than 15%. Less than 15% of all mineral rights in the United States will actually find commercial oil and gas underneath those mineral rights. That's your first eliminating factor why millions of mineral owners will never see a well drilled on their property. Probably only 15% of real estate owners and mineral rights owners across the United States will have wells drilled. Then of the 15%, what determines the 4 to 6% of the 15% that actually have wells drilled and experience the royalty income from mineral rights? I can tell you this, it's all about geology once again. Geology and economics. In other words, I can shoot seismic, I can have a geologist, a geophysicist, I can have complete confidence that I'm sitting in a shale basin that has a particular formation that is probably 98% sure it has oil and gas in that particular shale formation. But then the hard part comes, well, if I'm so certain I have oil and gas underneath the minerals I'm buying or that I own today, why won't there be a well drilled? How come they won't drill my well? What is wrong with my acreage? Well, there's multiple factors that could result in that. Number one, maybe your acreage is too far from infrastructure. Maybe you're outside the city by 30 miles. And they're drilling in a pattern that says we're moving toward your acreage at a mile at a time, drilling 5, 10, 15 wells per mile of mineral rights, but you're 30 miles away. And by the time we spend our time as an oil company drilling each one of those miles between where the infrastructure is and your mineral leasehold position, that might be 10 or 20 years out. The next thing is pure economics. Maybe if you're in a geological basin where the particular location of your minerals are in an area that is prone to be deeper, higher pressure, more expensive, the oil company is going to kind of have this economic decision. If I drill on the east side of the Anadarko Basin, it's shallow and has a lot of oil but not a lot of gas. I go to the western side of the Anadarko Basin in Oklahoma, it's deep gas, high pressured. And if I go right in the core of the sweet spot, right in the tenderloin of the Anadarko Basin, I get a combination of oil and a lot of associated gas, and I get the benefit economically from both commodities. So I might own minerals in the east side, the middle core, and the west deeper side in the gas window. And what I'm going to find is they all have oil and gas. There's no question I'm going to have oil and gas produced at some point in the future from all the minerals I own. But in today's economic environment, it's most likely most or the majority of the acreage I own in the core or the center part of the Anadarko Basin is going to be drilled and developed today or in the near future, long before the shallow oil is produced or drilled and long before the deeper more expansive and higher pressured natural gas window of the Anadarko Basin is explored. It's economics. Drill a well for $7.5 million, produce 500,000 to 700,000 barrels of oil. Makes perfect economic sense. Go drill the deep gas. The wells cost me 50 to 75% more expensive cost. It's pretty much natural gas, and I'm betting on one commodity. The reason why millions of Americans will never see a well drilled on their property, even if they own the mineral rights, is you don't have any oil and gas underneath it. And if you happen to own oil and gas mineral rights in basins that are proven and you're within the boundaries of the known areas that have oil and gas deposited, now you got to focus on the economics, and you have to have a realistic assessment. What does it take for a well to be drilled on my property? And you might find that you may not be anywhere close to being economically viable today. If that's the case, I know that I either have a very long wait, or I might want to go sell those mineral rights and try to buy some new mineral rights in a more favorable location. Look, I don't like to sell mineral rights. I never do. I never know what technology is going to do for me. I never say never, because never was completely changed 15 years ago when shale drilling in shale basins with horizontal and fracking completely changed the entire landscape of mineral rights across the United States. I just don't sell, because where I know that organic depositional event occurred, there's nothing else like it. It's the only place in the U.S. that has oil and gas. So I don't sell. But I have to be realistic by creating a hierarchy of my mineral rights by determining which ones will be drilled or developed at what price, by what company, and what's the financial parameters to cause that to happen. Look, folks, if you own mineral rights and you're sitting in oil and gas basins, it's up to you to monetize today, or it's up to you to have a realization of where you really stand and make a decision. It doesn't cost me anything. I have no holding costs. I think I'm going to retain those mineral rights as technology continues to expand the size and the geography of these oil and gas basins day by day, month by month, and year over year. Thanks for listening.